Yeah, the DK Bananza Direct just finished airing, or well, by the time I'm recording this, it finished airing like 2 days ago. And honestly, I was a bit mixed on this game at first, but now I'm definitely a lot more convinced by it than before. No, seriously, this direct was really, it was very good. And you know what would convince me even more? If you could like, share and subscribe to this video where I talk about this Donkey Kong Bananza Direct right here, right now. So I hope you guys are enjoying it, and my company, or something like that. Whatever. I'm Igata, and today we're going to talk about the Donkey Kong Bananza Direct. Enjoy! Okay. First of all, they showed us a lot of things during the Direct. Of course, that's just natural, because when they first showed us the game, all the way back in April, people were kinda mixed on it, including myself. I couldn't really, I don't know, the first trailer just couldn't win me over, but yeah. You know, it's natural, we only saw a glimpse of it, and of course, the first impression is what counts, so yeah. But after watching it, I gotta say, this game has a lot more on its plate than I first thought. So, let's jump a bit deeper into the whole DK Bananza shenanigans rabbit hole, or chimpanzee hole. Get it? Because we're talking about apes and... Okay, so the first thing that I want to talk about, and what they talked about during the Direct, is the movement of DK. So, we all know, even from the first teaser trailer, DK's main thing is gonna be his punching technique. So except for DK's punching technique, he also has a wide variety of other great moves. He can swing around boulders and throw them away at other things or enemies. Pretty straightforward so far, right? But check this. These boulders can also be used as a double jump to get onto higher places. There's also something called Turf Surf that lets you use a chunk as a surfboard, which is pretty cool. It's kinda uses the idea, or the thing that I get from all of this is that this game really is profiting from using the environment as its moving tool, and this is also what DK's moveset's gonna be based upon. I mean, he can even expand further upon it, which we'll get into a bit later, sort of. When picking up a softer chunk, for example, DK can stack them on top of each other and even build some bridge-esque passages, which is really cool. And yeah, that would be pretty much it for DK's base moveset. It's not really much, but it's doing its job, and well, you'll see. I mean, we're gonna get back to it at a later point of the video. But the next part is something that baffles me the most, because Kid Pauline has actually now been officially confirmed for this game. I mean, to be fair, we already kind of knew that Pauline is gonna make some sort of a return in this game, but you know, the Korean website of Nintendo accidentally leaked a preview banner of DK Bananza, and instead of that little rock thingamajigger we saw on DK's back on the box art, it's actually Pauline, and yeah, well, they kind of messed that up, so let's just hope the guy who takes care of that isn't But alas, what I want to say is that Kid Pauline can help us by using her singing skills to show you the way if you don't know where your next goal is. She can also lift some shields on certain objects, as it seems. And to top it all off, in multiplayer, which yes, there will be local co-op for this game, the second player can control her, and she can use her singing ability to attack enemies with so-called vocal blasts that she can produce. The next thing that I want to talk about is actually, yeah, I'm impressed by it. Like, seriously, I'm referring to the Bananza forms. So that is something completely new. I really love how there are actually multiple forms of this transformation that can be used differently depending on the situation you're in. And it's also been stated that you can use them wherever you are and that you are only bound by a time limit. Okay? That is a huge dub, actually. And there are 3 forms from what we know. maybe we're gonna get a 4th form, I don't know, but as of now there are only 3. So the first one is the Kong Bananza form. It's basically the same thing like in base form, but your attacks are just way stronger, and if I was looking correctly, you can just basically plow through the landscape without even pushing the punch button on your controller. As for the second form, they introduced the Zebra Bananza form. With that form, DK can move around a lot faster, which allows him to run over water like Jesus Kong and run over pathways that are falling apart. And the final form they introduced was the Ostrich Bananza. So, just how an ostrich can't fly, you can fly through the air with that form and even gain more height by using the upstreams. When up there, you can even throw egg bombs at enemies. Of course, you can't always use the forms because it's connected to the gold that you can collect while playing the game. And these can refill your Banergy, well, which you need in order to use the Bananza forms. So, well, in order to use the Bananza forms, you need something that is called Banergy, and the Banergy can be filled up with gold that you can find. That's what I wanted to say. Now, as mentioned earlier, we're now getting into the villains group, or the main villains of this game, and they name themselves Void Company. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, yeah, they want to take all the bananas for themselves, but other than that, we don't really know much about them, nor their connection to Kid Pauline. Oh, and one more thing we know is that they want to reach the planet core. I'd say that's something I'm really intrigued about, because they really didn't give away that much, so I wonder how far they would go with a story in DK, because I think the craziest story we had so far was actually in DK64, and that was really wild, so yeah. So as for my next points, there's something interesting as well that of course should be talked about, and it's the course runes. Yeah, the course runes are basically the Donkey Kong's bonus challenges that we know from DK64 and the Country series. But these course runes are actually hidden in the so-called ancient temples that give the player a challenge where you can get more of these jewelish bananas. By the way, these bananas are actually named Banandium, so yeah, I was looking that up, but yeah. These challenges come in many forms, such as defeat all enemies or destroy everything. And I feel like they want to go back to the roots with these different types of challenges, just like in the first Donkey Kong Country games. It had more than just collect all bananas as a challenge, like in the previous 2 entries of the DKC series, which is one of the very few gripes I have with the newer DKC entries. But yeah, that's besides the point. So the next part of the Direct that they introduced were the Banandium Gems and the skill points. So through the Banandium Gems, you can collect or gain skill points that helps you further develop your stats. I was baffled when they actually introduced the skill tree in this game, where you can upper your health, your raw power, and so on. I think that's a good idea on giving you an incentive to collect all these Banandium Gems to fully develop the skills of your characters, which is really cool. I like when a game gives you an incentive to actually go and find the collectibles, just so they can reward you with more skills, or, you know, develop your character a lot more. So that's a huge dub. I really love that. And with these skill points, you can actually even unlock new skills, so completely new skills that DK couldn't really perform prior to the skill points, or, you know, prior to unlocking those skills. But that is really cool. And speaking of stats, we have some cosmetics for this game, just like I mentioned, and just like in Odyssey, you can customize the drip of your characters, which is a huge W, okay? But what I think is cool is that you can even change the color of DK's fur. Aside from that, they also introduced the new amiibo, which also looks really cool, just want to throw that in. But there are even more collectibles tied to the other main collectibles, such as the Banandium chips that can give you more Banandium gems and fossils that you can exchange for cosmetics. What makes these cosmetics interesting is that you can actually, well, just like in Odyssey, you can change the outfit of your characters, and additionally, DK's fur color can also be changed, which is also a neat detail. But not only that, and hold on tight, because these outfits actually give more status effects or more effects to DK's and Pauline's skills and even their stats, which is really nice. Or, well, DK's stats to be specific. I'm not sure if Pauline has a separated skill tree, which we'll have to see. I don't really remember if they showed it during the direct, but yeah. So these cosmetics aren't just there to, you know, for the visual thing or for the visual part of the game, but they also have practical uses. So it's really, I mean, of course that's not something groundbreaking. You know, you would see that in other games that already did that before, but for a Nintendo game, it's really rare to do something like that. Like, the only series that I can think of does that is the Splatoon series, and they did it since the first game. So having this in a 3D platformer, nonetheless Donkey Kong, wow, I was really baffled by that. So yeah, honestly, that is something that I wouldn't have expected. Like, it's something so obvious, but like, some things that are obvious aren't really obvious in Nintendo games, you know? So I'm glad finally having outfits, or, you know, giving outfits more purpose in this game than Odyssey did, because Odyssey was really just, here are some costumes, throwback to, you know, older Mario games, or, you know, some Easter eggs, you know, some shenanigans with these costumes. Like, some of them look funny, like Clown Mario, or whatever the hell you want to give Mario, or, like, you know, for nostalgic people, or for old fans, the Super Mario 64 costume, which is really cool. But not only does DK's drip look great, but it also, you know, gives practical use, and, or, you know, also has practical use. So that's definitely really. Oh, and also they have treasure maps. Yeah, you can find treasure maps in this game, which helps you find these collectibles a lot easier. Well, referring to Banandium gems. These are a lot more difficult to find than probably some Banandium chips, or I don't know. We'll have to see, but honestly, this looks really good. And of course, we can't be forgetting about one specific mode, the final mode that they actually showed us during the direct, and that's DK Artists. So that's a mode where you can create your own sculptures. Heck, you can even create whatever you want, okay? You can create whatever you want, and it's neat. It's, you know, for your fellow Nintendo artists out there who can finally make a sculpture of, I don't know, whatever you like, but it's cool. It's cool. I think it's not really giving you, or it doesn't really have a huge incentive on the main game, but it's nice having such a side mode. You also have the photo mode, you know. I feel like every Nintendo game needs a photo mode nowadays. I mean, even Mario Kart World has one, so yeah. And there is one more thing I want to talk about, which I almost forgot, but I ended up remembering to include it, and that is the voice acting. I know, this isn't something that Nintendo talked about it specifically, but the fact that Kid Pauline has a voiceover makes me really intrigued as to how far Nintendo would go with it outside of Zelda. Though I'm a bit baffled that only Kid Pauline got a normal voiceover, while the other characters are grunting with their sound effects. I mean, I don't know if it was the budget or if they ran out of time, but they could have hired more voice actors for the other characters to impersonate, right? But oh well, at least we got something, right? And that would be it for this video. I know my rambling and the whole talking and all that stuff, I know this video is kind of all over the place, but I was trying to knock this video out as fast as I could, because I've been a bit behind with all this crazy stuff that happened over the past couple of months. I mean, I was fairly busy in real life with my studies, and I also had a lack of motivation to put up some videos, but now that summer holidays are, well, basically knocking at my door, I don't really have many weeks left, like 3 weeks left or so. I want to dedicate myself more to do YouTube content, at least in that period of time. And while I don't want to make promises, I do have other videos in the pipeline except for this one, which I will be recording, edit, and put it out there as fast as I can, and make the thumbnail and all that stuff. So this might have not been the perfect breakdown of the Direct, but I think I covered pretty much everything, and I didn't really want to read from the script entirely. I wanted to put in a bit more of my personality. You know, I don't want to sound like a robot. I do have a script prepared. I actually also read some parts from it, but yeah, maybe you could tell that some of these sentences or the words that I was trying to put out of my mouth, they didn't really coincide with my script, so I'm sincerely sorry about it, and I will try to stick more to my script, at least in the beginning, and maybe if I'm a bit more advanced in it, then I can maybe become a bit more, how do you say it? Spontaneous, that's what I wanted to say. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I have to say, and yeah. There is a... oh, right. Something that I wanted to tell you before you click off. There is actually a Mario & Luigi Brothership retrospective video in the works. I'm still on the script and I only finished part of it. I do have a Mario Kart World full-on review in the pipeline, or at least in the planning. It's not in the pipeline, but I do intend to make a script of it, starting in a few days, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I put that out. And as for the Mario & Luigi Brothership retrospective video, I will see to it to, you know, finish it during the summer holidays so that I can put it out. But yeah, that's pretty much it for my rambling and my yapping sesh, and you know, my yap sesh for this video. So yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in, and I hope I see you guys again. Also, Diddy Dixie Rabbit back. Woo!